And how you doing? Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. And today I'm doing a video on something I found really cool from a few years ago. DC. Surprise, surprise there. This was across the board. This was during Rebirth, and this was across the board. All of the books, the superhero books anyway, had this as part of their thing. It was a big event. And that event spawned a heck of a lot of books. And in this case, I'll be showing just a few of them because there's a hell of a lot more than I'm going to do. And that event was called The Year of the Villain. Dun, dun, dun. The Year of the Villain was a DC crossover series. It occurred beginning May 2019 as the aftermath of the Dark Knight's Metal run. And as it also was used as a prelude towards the events of Batman, Superman versus the Secret Six and the Dark Knight's, the Dark Knight's Death Metal, which came afterwards. Officially announced February 13th, 2019, with DC naming 2019 the Year of the Villain. 6 years already as the timing of this taping. The event featured stories by several authors with a focus on spotlighting of the most popular villains. So Joker, Luthor, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Cheetah, etc., etc. The event began with the release of an exclusive 32-page comic titled DC's Year of the Villains, just ahead of Free Comic Book Day on May 1st, 2019. That was the release date, not Free Comic Book Day that year. Here's the prelude to the whole thing. It says, after the source wall was shattered, 4 entities known as the Omega Titans began invading the planet Kolu, which is Brainiac's home planet and Brainiac 5's home planet, forcing Brainiac to summon the Justice League for help. But as Amanda Waller and her new Task Force 9 destroyed him, his descendant Brainiac 5 informs the League that Brainiac was using them to make sure that the Omega Titans would destroy Earth. So he could not interfere. Brainiac 5 couldn't interfere. This was in the book Justice League No Justice in 2018. Over time, Luthor found a mysterious object related to an unknown force known as the Totality, while forging a new version of the Legion of Doom. That included Brainiac and the Batman Who Laughs in this Legion of Doom. The Totality is presumed to be linked to Perpetua. Perpetua. It looks like Perpetua, but it's Perpetua, who is an ancient goddess made to vanish by her 3 children, the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and the World Forger. After faking her death through a bombing with Perpetua's help, Luthor transforms into a human machine hybrid version called Apex Lex. There were 6 plots within the main plot, and they all had names, and as you'll see when I show books, each book will show which subplot it was a part of. There was one called The Offer. Apex Lex recruits several supervillains to join Perpetua's cause. The League recruits more heroes in order to fight this Legion of Doom. Then there was The Dark Gifts, the villains debut with all their newly acquired powers, leading to the Justice League Doom War. The third one was called Evil Unleashed. The heroes deal with the consequences caused by the new powers gained by the villains. The fourth one was called Doom Rising, where Perpetua begins forming a symbol where heroes and villains gather, so their clashes end up being the announcement of the rise of Doom, followed by Hostile Takeover. The villain base unleashed their the villains have unleashed their true powers into the event. And the last one was Hell Arisen. Apex Lex has freed Perpetua, but they need to overcome the Batman who laughs first. And this is what leads to Dark Knight's. The storyline leads to the Dark Knight's death metal crossover into 2020. The storylines behind these are so complex and detailed that I am not going to get into them in this video. It would take several videos. I could probably spend a video on each one of the 6 storylines. So what I'm going to do is suggest that everybody out there take some time. They have been collected in various collections. Each storyline has 1 or 2 trade paperbacks that are together. This wasn't a normal series. Like, this was the Year of the Villain was in regular books more than having its own side series. Compared to the Dark Knight's medals and the Dark Knight death metal crossovers before that, Dark Metal Knights, with the Batman who laughs. That was slightly different, and that one had some was in some side series, like, for example, Batman, Superman, World's Finest. The Dark Knight's medal was in there. Supergirl became evil, as an example. But the Year of the Villain was in regular books. So I'm going to take some time to show the regular Year of the Villain books that I found in my collection. I have a ton more. This is Wonder Woman 77. And as you can see, it tells you which storyline is part of. In this case, this is part of, Dark Gifts. This pretty much went on for about 6 issues, 6 months of every book, because each month or so brought another storyline. I think 1 or 2 of them were slightly longer. So, but you could conceivably follow the main stories through the bigger books like Justice League. Excuse me. For example, here's the Terrifics number 20. Which is part of Evil Unleashed. I've got a bunch of Supergirls here. Here is Supergirl 32, which is part of the offer. This is what I mean, because 33 becomes Dark Gifts. Supergirl 34, which is Evil Unleashed. And then you get 35, which is Doom Rising. As I said, they're all and here you got the Villain, Supergirl, the Infected, number 36. This is when things get a little shall we say, interesting with the Batman who laughs. This is where Supergirl has become part of it all. And this is number 37 of Supergirl. Then here's Aquaman 50, for example. Part of the offer, as I said, they're all over the place. Aquaman 51. Aquaman 52. This is 53. I love this cover. The idea of his outfit and trident on the empty throne is really cool. This is one of the best. The Aquaman storyline, with its focus on Black Manta especially, is one of the best of the whole Year of the Villain ones. This is one of the reasons I did pull out the Aquaman. I wanted to make sure that this one was part of the video. This is Aquaman 54. Here we have Superman 13. And 14. You'll note that the Legion of Superheroes is in here. We've got the Terrifics, some of the other ones that I didn't show already. This is Terrifics 18. And 19. They fight with Bizarro in this one. I showed 20 already. Here's 21. And number 22. And number 24. For some reason, it actually skipped number 23. And I think 24 was just a leftover as well, because it doesn't advertise as much. But it was considered part of the. When I looked at it up, it was considered part of the series. So let's see. We've got Flash number 75. Flash 76. Flash 77. Flash 78. As you'll notice, I've got a few variants. There was a time period where I wasn't getting my usual cover A's. So this was just before I went to Rob. This was issue number 79 of The Flash. And number 80. The Flash has a lot of them because at this time The Flash was bi-weekly. And the Flash, like Wally West and Barry Allen, were both big parts of this Year of the Villain. 81. And 82. And the last one that I'm going to show, this is part of the Hostile Takeover, is Flash 83. This was fun. What I found a lot of fun about this was trying to keep track of who was doing what while within the main storylines. Like, the Offer itself was the easiest one to follow. And then Hell Arisen was easy to follow at the end as well, because there were less books involved, and it actually was the shortest of the climax was the shortest of the things. It was books like Evil Unleashed in the middle, and Dark Gifts that took a lot of books and a lot of talking. Even the Offer had a few, but the Offer was easy to follow. Apex Lex was pretty good. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe below. Please tell me if you've watched some of the Year of the Villain stuff, or read some of the Year of the Villain stuff, and if so, which parts did you like? The Batman Who Laughs is a great villain. He's one of the best villains that DC has come out with in a long time. But he was better in the dark metal stuff, both in the beginning and in the end of this thing. As I said, this is considered the middle act for the three big crossover events of 18, 19, and 20. But I enjoyed the Year of the Villain personally the most, because a lot of the characters were involved on both sides I really like. And as a big DC fan, There's not too many crossovers, I would say, that I've enjoyed over the years, but The Year of the Villain was one of them. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. My name is Matt. I like comics, and I hope you do too. Bye, everybody.